They say your whole life can change over dinner. Mine did, at a little Italian place with low lighting, red wine, and betrayal baked right into the breadsticks. I was 2 bites into a chicken parm I didn't want, seated across from my wife who looked more like a publicist than a partner. And next to her, a man wearing confidence like cologne, Chase Donovan. Her colleague. Sure. Logan, Ashley said, motioning like a hostess. This is Chase. You've heard me mention him. Heard of him? Lady, you talk about him like he invented oxygen. I extended a hand because I'm civilized. Chase gripped it with the kind of pressure men use when they're trying to assert dominance over you, except I'd already caught the way her hand brushed his thigh under the table. I played along, like a fool who hadn't already memorized every red flag. The late nights, the new perfume, the gym routine that only started after we stopped sleeping together. So, I said, what's this really about? Chase leaned forward, eyes full of rehearsed charm. Just want to make this simple, man. You've got 2 options, leave quietly, or face me like a man. Ashley smiled. And that was the moment, the one where every illusion shattered like a cheap wine glass. I smiled too. It was the kind of smile you practice in front of the mirror when you're not trying to look broken. You want your teeth whole, or in pieces? And then? Scene. Plates flew. Wine painted her dress red. Chase got acquainted with the table edge using his face. Security came. People screamed. Ashley cried about embarrassment. Me? I walked out into the night with blood on my knuckles and clarity in my chest. The affair wasn't the betrayal. That had already happened. No, this dinner was the part where they wanted me to bow out politely. But I wasn't raised to leave my own table just because someone else decided to bring extra guests. This was just the appetizer. The house felt different when I got home. Same furniture. Same framed photos on the wall of 2 smiling people who no longer existed. But the air had that hollow echo, like something had been ripped out. Ashley hadn't come home. Or maybe she had and didn't want to be seen. Either way, I didn't call her. I didn't shout. I didn't break anything. I just walked straight to the bedroom. It was spotless. Too spotless. Ashley never made the bed like that unless someone else was going to see it. There was no laundry basket, no hair ties on the dresser, no half-empty water bottles on her side of the bed. It wasn't a room, it was a stage. So I did what any sane man in my position would do. I opened the nightstand drawer. Inside was a tablet. Hers. Unlocked, because she never thought I'd look. Or maybe she wanted me to. I tapped the screen. First photo? Ashley. Half-dressed, mirror selfie, hotel room I didn't recognize. Timestamped last weekend, the same weekend she said she was visiting her sister. Swipe. Chase, in the background, brushing his teeth like this was just another Tuesday. Another swipe. Another photo. A video. Her voice. His hands. Laughing. Whispering. Mocking. She told him I still thought we were in therapy. He's trying so hard, she giggled. It's kind of sad. That was the one that did it. Not the infidelity. Not even the public humiliation. But that sentence. The fact that she knew I was trying, that I wanted to fix us, and she laughed anyway. She didn't just cheat on me. She wrote a sitcom out of my grief and played it for an audience. I backed away from the tablet like it was radioactive. My hands were shaking, but not from rage. This wasn't the storm. This was the eye of it. Revenge didn't hit like a lightning bolt. It settled in, quiet and cold, like frost creeping under the door. I had no intention of yelling. I wasn't going to throw her stuff on the lawn. No, Ashley was going to learn what it felt like to be outplayed by someone who didn't just react, he planned. This wasn't about her anymore. It was about making sure she remembered me every time she looked over her shoulder. I didn't sleep that night. Didn't even try. Instead, I sat at the kitchen table with a legal pad and a black pen, because if you're going to plan vengeance, you might as well do it in ink. I didn't write down threats or fantasies. That's amateur hour. No, I made a checklist. Item 1. Freeze the accounts. Ashley and I shared a few joint accounts, the kind you forget about until your spouse starts draining them. By sunrise, I transferred half the funds into a new solo account and flagged the rest for a freeze. She could still buy oat milk, but that surprise weekend in Napa she was planning? Cancelled. Item 2. The lease. The house was mine. Not legally, not fully, yet. But I knew the landlord personally. We'd golfed. Once. That was enough. One phone call and he agreed to start reevaluating the lease. Ashley's name can be removed, he said. Especially if there's been conflict. Conflict. Nice word for betrayal. Item 3. Reputation. Now, this one took finesse. I wasn't about to start some high school rumor war. But Ashley worked in marketing. Reputation was currency. And Chase? He managed accounts for a firm that prided itself on family values. So I sent an anonymous tip to HR. Not a lie. Just a photo. Her, in Chase's lap, mid-kiss, at what appeared to be a company event. Champagne in one hand, promotion dreams in the other. Let's just say it made an impact. And then came item 4, patience. You see, a lot of guys make the mistake of confronting the cheater too soon. They walk in swinging, shouting, demanding answers. Me? I waited. I let her stew in silence, thinking maybe I was too heartbroken to fight. I wanted her comfortable, careless. I wanted her to think she'd won. That's when people get sloppy. Sure enough, by the end of the week, she started texting. Ashley, we should talk. Ashley, I never meant for you to find out like that. Ashley, can we meet for coffee? I didn't reply. Not yet. Because the best revenge isn't loud. It's precise. When Ashley texted again, I didn't ignore it. I told her to meet me at the Hollow Bean, a small coffee shop downtown. Neutral territory. No history. No memories. Just caffeine and clean exits. I got there 10 minutes early and sat facing the door. I wanted to watch her walk in, see if guilt changed her posture or if shame had made a dent. Spoiler, it hadn't. She walked in like she was early to a TED Talk. Hair curled. Blouse pressed. That same artificial confidence pasted across her face like a sales pitch. Logan, she said, sliding into the seat across from me like we were two ex-classmates catching up. I didn't offer a smile. Didn't reach across the table. Just stared. You look good, she added. Don't. She blinked. Don't what? Don't pretend this is normal. Or that I'm here for small talk. Her lips twitched, trying to shape into something sympathetic, but she gave up halfway. Okay. You're angry. No, I said, calm as winter. I'm calculating. She sat back, her shoulders stiffening a little. Look, I didn't mean for it to happen like this. I tilted my head. So you did mean for it to happen. Just not like this. Don't twist my words. They came pre-twisted. Ashley sighed, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear like that would give her clarity. Chase and we didn't plan it. It just evolved. Like a rash, I muttered. Except rashes don't beg for public humiliation. That wasn't what I do. You dragged me into a restaurant, sat me down, and let him challenge me like we were in some gladiator ring. I leaned forward. You wanted me to break. I wanted you to accept it, she said, quieter now. So we could both move on. That's rich, I said. You cheat, you lie, and then you dictate how I'm supposed to process it? She didn't respond. Not really. Just stared at her cup like the foam had answers. I don't care why you did it, I continued. Not anymore. I'm done with the therapist questions. What I care about now is what happens next. Ashley looked up, wary. What do you mean? I've already started the separation process. The lease is being renegotiated. Your name's coming off it. Wait, what? You'll need to find a new place. I suggest Chase's guest room, assuming he's still employed. Her face tightened. What did you do? I just sipped my coffee. Let's call it an anonymous HR concern. With photographic context. She didn't say anything for a moment. Then she laughed. Not out of joy, more like disbelief. You're actually trying to ruin me. No, I said evenly. I'm simply making sure you don't land softly. You blew up my life. The least I can do is hand you a parachute made of tissue paper. I made a mistake, Logan. No, I corrected. You made a choice. Repeatedly. For months. You made a second life out of my first. And now what? She asked, voice cracking a little. You get revenge and move on? That's the plan. She shook her head. You're not this cold. You used to be kind. I used to trust you. She winced. Good. I never thought you'd be the vindictive type, she said. And I never thought you'd turn into a cliché, I replied. But here we are. Ashley looked down, finally out of comebacks. For a moment, it was quiet, just the hum of the espresso machine and the occasional clink of ceramic cups. I didn't think it would end like this, she whispered. You ended it, Ashley. All I'm doing is writing the epilogue. She nodded slowly, then stood. I guess there's nothing left to say. There's one thing, I said, standing too. I'm not done. She looked up, confused. You think this is the finish line? I said, eyes locked. This is the halfway point. What else are you planning? I smiled. Just slightly. You'll find out. And when you do, remember, you earned it. And with that, I walked out. Not triumphant. Not angry. Just done pretending that pain needed to come with yelling or tears. Some betrayals don't deserve closure, just consequences. 2 days after that coffee shop meeting, Chase Donovan's world started to unravel. I didn't have to lift a finger, just tip the first domino. A video file sent anonymously to his firm's HR director, a snippet from the same night Ashley and I had our ambush dinner. Her hand tracing circles on his thigh. Him whispering something into her ear that wasn't safe for work or marriage. The firm issued a statement by noon the next day. Donovan is on indefinite leave pending internal review. Translation: they're cutting ties without saying the word fired. I was at home, sitting on the couch, sipping coffee from the mug Ashley bought me on our second anniversary. It said, Mr. Steady. I kept it for irony. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find Paul. Yes, that Paul, one of the friends who'd cheered on my wife at the club like he was watching a halftime show. He looked like a man whose karma had arrived early. Hey, man, he started, already wincing. Can we talk? I didn't move. Didn't speak. Just let the silence fill the porch like fog. He scratched the back of his neck. Look, I didn't know it was gonna be like that. I didn't know she was going to laugh in my face while cheating in public. I offered. With you as her hype man? He winced harder. Yeah, that. Why are you here, Paul? He sighed. I lost my job, Logan. Someone sent an email to my boss, video of that night. Me yelling, go Chase. And get it, girl. Like I was a frat boy at spring break. Which you were. I work in youth development, man. The irony. He shifted awkwardly. Look, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I was stupid. I thought it was a joke, or I don't know. But I messed up. I stared at him, weighing something, not whether to forgive. That ship had sailed, capsized, and sunk. No, I was deciding how much of the game to reveal. Tell me something, I said. Did you know? About them. Before the club. He paused. Too long. Paul. He exhaled. Yeah, a couple weeks before. She told us she was done with the marriage. Said Chase made her feel alive. Said you were boring. The words didn't hurt. Not anymore. They just confirmed what I already knew. Thanks for your honesty, I said. He looked relieved. So, we good? No, I said, and shut the door. I didn't slam it. That would have been too emotional. And I was done with emotion. Now I dealt an impact. Later that day, Ashley finally called. Ashley, I lost my job. Me, you were always saying you wanted a break. Ashley, don't be smug. Me, you cheated with your subordinate. Smug is the least you deserve. Ashley, you sent them the footage, didn't you? Me, would that surprise you? She went quiet. Then, in a low voice, what do you want, Logan? What is all this? I leaned back in my chair. I want what you took from me. Dignity, control, trust. You're not gonna get it by destroying my life. No, I said, but I'll sleep a hell of a lot better knowing you can't destroy anyone else's. Click. That night, I went into the garage. There was a box I hadn't opened since this all started. Inside were photos, letters, souvenirs from a decade-long relationship. Happy moments trapped in still frames, blissfully unaware of the slow rot underneath. I didn't burn them. I'm not theatrical. I just packed them tighter and labeled the box evidence. Because it was. Not of a love story, but of a fraud. The next morning, I visited a lawyer. Not for the divorce. That was already underway. No, this was for something else. Reputation insurance. See, Ashley wasn't done. She would try to spin the story eventually. Claim emotional abuse, abandonment, or some modern rebranding of infidelity. But I was ready. My lawyer smiled as I slid the folder across his desk. Photos. Statements. Witnesses. Even a few hotel bills from nights I was supposedly the unattentive husband, while she was playing romance novel with Chase. You've been thorough, he said, flipping through it. I nodded. Let her try. I just want to make sure she can't rewrite the ending. He closed the folder. She won't. But this? This isn't just a defense. This is a counterattack. Exactly. By the time I walked out of that office, the city air felt clearer. Ashley had burned the house down. But I wasn't sifting through ashes. I was building the blueprints for something better. Something that didn't smell like lies. And for the first time in months, I realized. I wasn't chasing closure. I was carving justice. Ashley texted again the next morning. This time, she wasn't mad. She was scared. Ashley, they're freezing my severance. They said the HR report was gross misconduct. I could lose my license. Ashley, we need to talk. Please. I waited an hour before replying. Timing is everything in chess, and this was the part of the match where she realized she'd walked into a trap 10 moves ago. Me. Meet me at the park. 2 p.m. Bring everything you have from the house. I arrived 10 minutes early again, because control is a habit. She showed up exactly on time, an interesting break from character. Ashley had the look of someone who just read her own obituary. Sunglasses, no makeup, messy bun, like she was finally willing to be seen without the mask. She carried a single box, small and dented, probably the leftovers of a life she assumed she'd never lose. "Logan," she said, voice dry. "Thanks for meeting me. You brought the stuff?" She held up the box. "Jewelry, cards, your mother's necklace, and the title to the car." "The car's under my name," I said, arms crossed. "It was a gift, not a joint asset." "I know." That surprised me. I thought she'd fight for the Lexus. Guess public shaming can loosen one's grip on leather seats. We sat on opposite benches, the box between us like a peace offering no one believed in. "I've lost everything," she said finally. "No," I replied. "You traded everything." She looked away, eyes damp. "I didn't think it would get this bad." "That's because you thought I'd roll over. Cry. Slink away." Ashley said nothing. "There's something broken in you," I said. "And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean it as a diagnosis." Her jaw tensed. "Don't psychoanalyze me." "I'm not. I'm telling you what you are to me now. A lesson. A scar. A reminder. I was unhappy." "I was too," I said. "But I didn't destroy us over it." She looked down. "I thought Chase would be different." I scoffed. "Different from what? A man who loved you? Who trusted you? You left that behind for what? Some stock photo Casanova and a black button-up." She sighed. "I know you hate me." "No," I said. "I'm past that. Hatred takes energy. You don't get that from me anymore." Ashley ran a hand through her hair, fingers trembling. "So what now?" "Now," I said, "we finalize everything. You sign the divorce papers. You walk away with what's left. And you stay out of my orbit." She looked at me like I just handed her a prison sentence. "I'm not asking to get back together. I just—" "What?" "I don't want you to hate me forever." "I won't," I said calmly. "Because one day, you'll be sitting somewhere, a coffee shop, a meeting, a party, and you'll hear someone laugh the way I used to. And you'll look up expecting me. But I won't be there. I'll be long gone. And that moment, that absence, will hurt more than anything I could do to you now." She was crying quietly by then. Not the mascara-running kind. The kind where you know the consequences finally caught up. I let the silence sit for a minute, then I stood. "Goodbye, Ashley." "Logan." "Wait," she said. "Do you think I'm a bad person?" I paused, then turned back. "I think you're the kind of person who assumes loyalty is forever, even when you stop earning it." And with that, I walked away. I didn't look back. Later that evening, I found myself back at home, the real one. Not the building we once shared. The place I grew up in, owned by my brother now, but always open to me. My phone buzzed. A message from someone unexpected. "Linda, hey. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I had no idea what Ashley planned that night. I'm sorry. Truly." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Let her sit in that uncertainty. Let her feel the social aftershock of aligning herself with the wrong storyline. By now, word had spread. Chase's career? Done. Ashley? Unemployable in any firm with standards. Paul? Socially radioactive. And me? I was building again. Not from scratch, but from something stronger than illusion. I reached for the envelope sitting on the kitchen table. Inside was the final divorce agreement, signed and sealed. No spousal support. No asset contest. Clean break. Freedom. I walked out to the fire pit, lit the papers, and watched them curl into ash. Not out of spite. Out of ceremony. Like burning old sage to cleanse a haunted house. Ashley's chapter was over. Now, it was time to start my own. The ash from those divorce papers hadn't even cooled when I got the message. Blocked number. No name. Just a string of words that made my stomach knot, not because I was scared, but because I knew what came next. "You think it's over. It's not." I read it twice. Then laughed. See, a man who's been betrayed, humiliated, and gutted in public doesn't really flinch at anonymous threats. But I wasn't dumb enough to brush it off, either. I screenshotted it, saved it to a folder labeled Echoes, and let it sit there like a dead spider in a jar. By now, my life had started to take shape again. Different shape, sure. Smaller. Simpler. But solid. I moved into a new apartment, top floor, no shared walls. Peaceful, if a little too quiet. My brother helped me repaint the walls. Go with something light, he said. Fresh start and all. I picked dark blue. Not because I was moody, because it was real. I wasn't looking for a new beginning with rainbows and scented candles. I was building a bunker, and I liked the shade of steel. Work got better too. Freed from Ashley's passive-aggressive critiques and her habit of hijacking weekends for social climbing, I actually found focus. I took on bigger projects. Got compliments from clients I thought barely noticed me. Turns out, heartbreak clears your schedule. Even my therapist, yes, I finally went, told me I seemed anchored. That's therapists speak for, you're not unraveling anymore. But then came the second message. You destroyed my life. Now I'll return the favor. Still blocked? Still anonymous. Still transparent as cling wrap. Chase. Of course it was Chase. Ashley didn't have the spine. Paul didn't have the IQ. And Linda? Please. She'd been too busy rebranding herself on social media as the betrayed friend who didn't know. No, Chase had been quiet since the HR scandal. Too quiet. I figured he'd left the city, maybe slinked back to wherever they grow guys like him, someplace with gym mirrors and no mirrors of character. But this message said otherwise. I showed it to my lawyer. Let it go, he said. He's blowing smoke. Maybe, I replied. But I still want a record. We filed a precautionary report. Nothing major. Just a line in a database in case the smoke turned into fire. But the next day, my car alarm went off at 3:42 a.m. Driver's side window shattered. Glove compartment open. Nothing stolen, just rummaged. Like someone was looking for something they couldn't find. I didn't call the cops. I installed cameras instead. Then I called Kyle. Still got that guy you mentioned? The private investigator? You thinking Ashley's behind it? He asked. No, I said. She's too busy trying to reassemble her LinkedIn profile. This is someone who still thinks he has something to prove. I'll make the call. By noon, I had a name. Ron Wexler. Retired cop, now PI. Came highly recommended for problem-solving without drama. He met me at a diner. Wore a windbreaker and chewed toothpicks like it was a job. You think you're being followed? He asked. No, I said. I think I'm being warned. He raised an eyebrow. That's worse. I gave him everything. The messages, the photos, the timeline. I didn't play the victim card. Just laid out the pattern. When I finished, he leaned back. This guy, he said, Chase. He used to be military. Marine Reserve, I said. Or so he claimed. Always threw it around at parties, like he'd seen things. Wexler snorted. Yeah, I've met guys like him. Big bark. Runs for the shadows when things get real. So what's the play? He tapped the table. We don't strike first. We tighten the net. Surveillance, digital footprint, financial dig. We find what he's hiding, then decide if it's leverage or warning material. And just like that, I had someone on my side who didn't need therapy metaphors. Just facts and pressure points. In the meantime, I lived my life like normal. Or at least pretended to. But you start to notice things. A car idling too long on your street. A wrong number that hangs up after the first word. A shadow where there shouldn't be one. Then one night, I got home and found a note on my door. Handwritten. TikTok, hero. You broke the rules. Now it's my turn. No envelope. No signature. Just taped there with that smug, cinematic flair that men like Chase mistake for intelligence. I didn't take it down. I left it there. Then I went inside, locked the door, and started typing. An email. To Ron. Subject, we escalate now. I was done waiting for another shoe to drop. This wasn't over. It had just become personal. Ron worked fast. 3 days after the TikTok note, he handed me a folder in a discreet little park across town. No drama. Just a handoff like we were trading baseball cards. Chase his debt, Ron said simply. Gambling. Real estate. And surprise, an ex who filed a restraining order 2 years ago. Buried deep, but it's there. I opened the folder. Photos. Statements. Screenshots of Chase lurking around his former employer's building, despite being banned. A digital trail he didn't even know he'd left. This enough? Ron asked. It's enough, I replied. I wasn't going to the police. That would have made it public. And I didn't want justice in the tabloids. I wanted it to sit in Chase's chest like a lead weight. I emailed him the folder. No words. Just subject line. Next time, I won't warn you. That night, the cameras I'd installed caught him standing across the street, staring at my building. Hands in his jacket, jaw clenched. But he didn't come closer. 2 days later, he He disappeared. Gone. No messages. No cars creeping down my street. Just silence. I didn't celebrate. I didn't even smile. Because a real win doesn't need a parade. The divorce finalized quietly. No drama, no drawn-out court scenes. Ashley didn't fight. Not because she didn't want to, but because she knew she'd lose. She moved out of the city. Or maybe just out of our circles. Last I heard, she was bartending under a different name at a quiet little place out in the suburbs. Fitting, really. She'd always said she wanted something simpler. Guess she got it. I boxed up the last of our life together. Not with anger. Just methodically. Each picture, each memory, folded and filed. I donated the wedding album. The ring? Pawned. That money went toward a new project. Something clean. Not a rebound. Not a fresh start. Just mine. A cabin. Remote. Small. Built it with my own hands. Weekends and late nights. No help. Just me, the woods, and a playlist full of songs that didn't remind me of her. It was never about isolation. It was about foundation. A year later, I got one last message. Blocked number. Again. But this time, different tone. I hope you're doing better. I'm sorry for everything. No name. No details. Could have been Ashley. Could have been someone else. Didn't matter. I didn't reply. Because closure doesn't come from them. It comes when you don't need to answer anymore. I stood outside the cabin that night, watching the trees sway, coffee in hand. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't cinematic. Just quiet. There were no fireworks. No emotional monologues. Just me. Whole. Untangled. And at peace. Because in the end, revenge wasn't a violent act. It wasn't fists or fire or chaos. It was this. Breathing without her in my lungs. Living without her in my shadow. And knowing, without a doubt, that I hadn't lost anything. She had. And she'd feel it forever.